Please, I beg you, don't take me away. I am so sorry for what I did. Please forgive me.
Hello, dear viewers. Today's story follows Die and his family as their peaceful life is suddenly shattered by a danger lurking in the shadows. After a tense chase that unfolds inside his own home, Thomat fails to carry out his plan and disappears. Fearing for the safety of his wife Huyen and his daughter Maya, Die decides to report everything to the police the very next morning. From that moment, an urgent investigation begins, leading to Thomat's arrest. However, the truth behind the case shocks everyone. The person secretly manipulating and planning everything turns out to be Thuy, Die's ex-wife, driven by long-buried resentment and jealousy. The story is a breath-holding journey through fear and revelation, highlighting the heavy price of hatred and delivering a powerful message about courage, family protection, and the triumph of justice. If you found this story gripping and emotionally engaging, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming thrilling stories. Your support is our greatest motivation to keep bringing you more compelling content. Thank you for watching and see you in the next story. That night, Die could hardly sleep. The small rented room was suffocatingly quiet, broken only by the steady ticking of the wall clock, as if reminding him that he was still alive, that the accident from the previous afternoon had not been a nightmare. Huyen lay on a folding chair near the window, her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, her pale face still marked by fear. Just 1 second slower, just one wrong move of the steering wheel, and the car would have plunged straight down the concrete slope, ending everything. At first, they both tried to convince themselves that it had been an accident, that an old car breaking down was nothing unusual. But when the mechanic crawled under the vehicle, frowned, and said that the brake oil hose had been cut cleanly, as if by deliberate human hands, all doubt turned into real terror. Die felt a chill run down his spine, while Huyen burst into tears, not from pain, but from the realization that they had narrowly escaped death. All night long, they sat facing each other without speaking, yet the same question echoed in both their minds. Who was behind this, and why did someone want them dead? The next morning, a light rain fell, thin streams of water trailing down the windshield like an extension of their heavy emotions. Die drove slowly to the district police station, his hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Huyen sat beside him, her eyes constantly scanning the streets, afraid that at any corner someone might be watching them. When they entered the reception office, Die took a deep breath, knowing that once he crossed this threshold, the past he had tried to bury would be dragged back into the light. Lieutenant Colonel Min, the officer who received their report, had a calm voice and sharp eyes. He listened carefully, never interrupting, occasionally nodding and taking notes. When Die mentioned the cut brake hose, Min's gaze hardened slightly. He asked in detail about the time, the location, who could have had access to the car, and about Die's personal relations. Die hesitated for a moment, then finally spoke the name that had surfaced in his mind from the very beginning, but that he had been unwilling to say aloud. Thomat. He was a former business partner, once close, once full of shared ambitions, but also the man who had turned against him when Lee no longer aligned. Their partnership had ended bitterly, with harsh words and lingering resentment. Min made no immediate conclusions, only said that all possibilities would be investigated, and advised them to limit traveling alone and to stay in close contact with the police. The investigation moved quickly. Thomat was summoned for questioning on a bright afternoon. Contrary to Die's expectations, Thomat appeared unusually calm. He wore a neat suit, answered questions clearly, and avoided nothing. He admitted that there had been conflicts with DA in the past, but insisted that it was all over, that he was not foolish enough to ruin his own life over old grudges. What unsettled the investigators was that Thomat had an almost perfect alibi. Security cameras placed him at a meeting far from the scene, receipts, witnesses, and timelines all aligned. Though his motive seemed obvious, every piece of evidence pointed away from him. The case stalled. DA began to doubt himself, wondering if he had accused the wrong person or if the true mastermind was quietly mocking them from the shadows. It was then that a seemingly minor detail resurfaced. In a supplemental statement, Huyen recalled that on the night before the accident, she had noticed a woman standing near their car in the parking lot. It was dark and she had not paid much attention, assuming the woman was waiting for someone. But in hindsight, something about her figure felt familiar. Lieutenant Colonel Min immediately ordered a review of all security footage from the area. The images were blurry, but clear enough to show a middle-aged woman wearing a hat and a mask, appearing at precisely the suspicious time. From there, investigators narrowed down the list of women with direct connections to Day. The list was short, and one name made the entire room fall silent for several seconds. 3. Day's ex-wife. When Day heard her name, his heart felt tightly clenched. He had not mentioned Thuy earlier, not because he believed she was innocent, but because he could not bear the thought. Their marriage had lasted nearly 10 years, beginning with love and ending in arguments, lawsuits, and unresolved wounds. After the divorce, Thuy vanished from his life. New phone number, new address, severed ties. Day had believed that was her way of moving on, but the investigation revealed otherwise. Thuy had never truly disappeared. She had been silently watching his life, knowing where he went, who he met, and especially when Huyen entered the picture. Recovered data from an old phone showed that Thuy and Thomat had been in contact for a long time after Day and Thomat ended their partnership. At first, their conversations revolved around work, but gradually they became filled with resentment and bitterness. When Thuy was summoned for questioning, she appeared exhausted and distant. She denied everything, claiming she was just a woman trying to rebuild her life after a painful breakup. But as evidence accumulated, camera footage, movement records, deleted messages restored, her composure slowly collapsed. Finally, in the cold interrogation room, Thuy broke down in tears. She admitted that she was behind it all, that she had never accepted Day moving on and starting a new life, that every glimpse of his happiness fueled her resentment. She said she never intended for things to go that far, that she only wanted to scare him, to make him feel the same insecurity and fear she had endured for years. According to her confession, Thomat had only provided information and helped her gain access to the car. He had not acted directly, but had also failed to stop her. When the truth was finally exposed, all the pieces fell into place. Thomat was held accountable for his role as an accomplice and for concealing information, while Thuy faced the consequences of her actions as the mastermind. In the courtroom, Day looked at the woman who had once been his wife, his heart heavy. There was no hatred left, only exhaustion and regret for a past corroded by unresolved emotions. Huyen sat beside him, quietly holding his hand, grounding him so he would not be pulled back into painful memories. When everything was over, Day realized that the most terrifying thing was not the accident that nearly took their lives, but how hatred could blind a person's reason so completely. Sometime later, on a gentle, rainy afternoon, Day and Huyen stood by the window of their old rented room, watching the city lights flicker on. The rain still fell, but it no longer felt heavy. Day knew the wounds would take time to heal, but at least they had faced the truth. And in that moment, he understood that sometimes to move forward, one must walk through darkness, accept pain and loss, and only then find the light for oneself.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Live Single RV. Vậy là trong tập phim ngày hôm nay của chúng ta thì Thomas đã bị cảnh sát bắt khi anh ta đã có kế hoạch mưu sát Maya và Huyền. Và thật là may khi đệ đã phát hiện ra và báo với cảnh sát, khiến anh ta phải trả giá về hành động của mình. Tất cả tình tiết hấp dẫn về câu chuyện tình yêu của Huyền, đệ cũng như cuộc sống xoay quanh Huyền, đệ và bé Maya sẽ còn được kể các video tiếp theo. Các bạn hãy bấm vào nút subscribe để đăng ký kênh, sẽ nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.